Hey everybody, it's Roger with Kinsta. Today I'm joined by a very unique friend of mine, a good friend, Bud. Hey Bud, how are you?
All right, Roger, I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go. You got the right hat
Okay.
on, so I appreciate you
Yes,
getting the memo. You got the memo, thank you.
yeah, sure.
Bud, we met at WordCamp Montclair last year, and immediately I knew you were someone that's
did?
going to be a part of my life, whether I liked it or not, for some time.
Right.
And you know, here we are now. I did one on your show, Seriously Bud, a couple of weeks ago. That was a lot of fun, and those are just really great episodes to listen to. But I want to hear more about your story. How did you come to become part of the internet?
Well, I was born 20 years too early, so that is a journey into itself. But in the mid 1990s, I think I was the first one in my block to say like, "Oh, I like this stuff," and the stuff was, of course, websites, and I wanted to learn how it was done. And once I started learning that, I said, I want to do this. So I left the career that I was in and away I was going, making websites for virtually nothing. But everybody wanted one. So I was like the most important person in everybody's life. But they didn't pay for it. That's for sure.
Back up for a second. So what were you doing before you started building websites?
Well, I was in the insurance business for 17 years. I was a New York City insurance broker, and I was in the entertainment world. So most of my clients were multimedia artists and producers and filmmakers and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of it was really, I really loved the clients. But after a while, I couldn't stand the insurance industry.
Okay.
So I was like, I had my foot in both worlds, and I would prefer the more creative world. And I wasn't looking to become a film director or anything like that. But once I saw the web, I said, like, I was just endlessly interested in how do they do that, and I still ask that question: how do they do that? So,
excellent. So when you first started off, there was no WordPress. What were you using to build websites at the beginning?
Well, I just started looking at websites and the code, and I was using Netscape Gold, as I think it was called Netscape 4 or something like that, which had a built-in developing tool, and little by little I learned HTML. Before you know it, I was teaching it at Pratt Institute in New York City because I like to teach, and I found out that I was good at it, so that's what I did.
Amazing. All right, so let's fast
I could teach,
forward
but
a little bit.
I could teach, but I can't do.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
so let's fast forward here a little bit. WordPress. How did you first get introduced to WordPress?
2009, Oyster Bar, New York City. I was having lunch with a very good friend and a client of mine. Well, he's really a friend of mine. And he said, Bud, you have to learn WordPress. And I said, no, I am a Rage Against the Machine kind of guy. And he looked at me very seriously. He said, no, you really do. He gave me his credentials. I looked at his website, and I looked at the plugins, and I started doing it on my own and I think Bluehost was my first hosting company. But once I realized that you could create a child theme, then WordPress was mine. And I started teaching WordPress because, that's all I could do is teach. I couldn't really make websites because I didn't have the design chops that you needed at the time.
Sure.
So,
okay. All right. So now you're full into WordPress, and you're doing a lot of writing. Talk to me a little bit more about what are you up to these days?
Okay. Well, since I've always been a teacher, one way to do that now is by writing. Because you know that when you write, you're really teaching people how something works or why something is important. So I've written a lot of how-to kinds of things. And I've actually written a few for your company, Roger. Oh. And because of you, I should say, by the way, I'm sure you
I don't know
that.
anything about this.
Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. I know you do. And one of the interesting things about writing in your company and in other companies too is that I like to write things that push what I already know. I don't want to keep writing the same stuff that I know. Okay, it just bores me. So if I just push on, whatever the subject is, to expand what I know, God, I'd love that. I just think like I'm getting paid to learn, and I say this is really great. So I think it's really nice.
That's awesome. So back me up just a little bit here, and let's talk about your process a little bit for when you're approaching these subjects. So when you're approaching something that you don't know a lot about, what are kind of your first steps for immersing yourself?
AI. Sorry, cut to the chase. No, that's not really yes, of course, I use AI as an assistant to help me understand things that I don't know, but I use a lot. I go to a lot of people that I know in the WordPress community, Nick Diego or whatever. I don't want to start mentioning names. Okay, take that out. No, don't take it out.
Drop
But
names.
whatever.
Come on. You're a big deal.
Yeah, all right. John, no, stop. I go to Birgit. I go to Ann. I go to. All right, that's enough. And I go to people that I know, and I say, hey, point me in the right direction, or can you explain something, or whatever. So that is a huge help in what I do. Is that because I know a lot of people in the WordPress community, and they're always so nice and willing to help. That idea is very contagious, and you feel like, hey, I should do something like that too when I can, so I do.
That's awesome, and I think this ties in really well with the discussion about community, and especially the WordPress community. We met at a WordCamp, right? And I think it's amazing. The WordPress community has always been one that has always kind of blown my mind of just how helpful everybody is.
Yeah, right.
And now we've got an event coming up later this month, PressConf, that you and I are both going to attend. What are your thoughts about why you're attending PressConf, and why do you think it's important that people attend these events?
Because I was begged to go. So it wasn't you, it was Adam Weeks and Raquel Manriquez. Both of them have been on my show, just like you, although your episode hasn't dropped yet. Raquel said, put your big boy pants on, pay for the thing, and let's go. So, and then when I started seeing who's coming, and everybody started saying you should go, and then when I realized what the purpose of what the event is, it started to make a whole lot of sense that I go. So, I'll be there. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. Right? It seems like everybody knows everybody, so it's not like you're going to meet a whole lot of new people. Although there are some people I don't know that I'm looking forward to meeting.
Well, and I think it's also that opportunity. Maybe you know somebody online. Maybe you know them through post status or something, but you've never met in person.
Right.
And, I feel like, especially since the pandemic, the in-person events have become that much more rich for me because
absolutely
there's no buffering, there's no waiting for somebody's Bluetooth headset to connect. Any of these technical issues that we have on video calls, it's just in your face. You can talk about whatever you want right then, and it's very immediate. So when you are attending these events, for people who maybe are not as outgoing and are not as great at networking, do you have any suggestions for people for how to get the most out of an in-person event?
To think that I'm great at networking makes me want to blah. I mean,
hey,
you
stormed into my face.
Well, I know that. I mean, I sort of do that with everybody, but I don't think of myself as a great networker. But I've realized in the last couple of years is sort of like what's happened. Only because the community is just so... You want to just love everybody. It's easy, And as Birgit says, we came for the... What does she say? We came for the software and we stayed for the community, and that's really the truth, Anyway, what was the question?
What's the advice you would have for somebody to become a good networker? Yeah.
In the WordPress community is the easiest community on earth to meet people. All you have to do is go up to them, which is what I did and still kind of do, especially when I don't know them. So what do you do with WordPress? And off you go to the races. And from that question, and a lot of people ask that question, they have built a tremendous network. That's really what, And when I go to WordCamps, WordPress events, I always like to meet people I don't know that are not well known and all that stuff. If you're just going to stick with your little, I don't want this to be a clique, and I don't think WordPress, I don't feel that there are cliques, although there are cliques, okay, but there isn't any exclusionary. I don't really feel like, I just never feel like I'm barred from any body or any group, which is really fantastic. So I always say for a guy my age, that's amazing.
No, absolutely. And I agree with you. I feel it's a very inclusive group. It's very welcoming, open, helping people climb the ladder and figure out their journey on stuff.
Come on, let's face it, it's a cult. I mean, it does have some cultish, You can leave though. That's the nice thing about it.
I mean, you can leave. I don't think it's
People do.
not too bad. It's not too bad.
Right.
People leave, but they come back.
Right.
Um,
That's true too. Right.
So you've got a very successful podcast series called Seriously Bud. And I mentioned a guest on it and really enjoyed it because it's a different conversation. You don't talk a lot about WordPress at all. Can you talk about how you came up with the idea for that show, and then like some of the tricks you figured out for making it a success?
Well, this is when I was at WordCamp US 2023. When I left, it was outside of Washington D.C. I got in the Uber and I thought to myself, and it all came in a split second. It'd really be great if I could spend more time talking to Roger Williams, because when I go to these events, it's like speed. It's like pinball. You're bumping into everybody and saying hello, and I'll catch you later, and blah blah, and nothing ever. Nothing really sinks in, except for maybe a few things. Okay. And I just wanted to slow things down, get a chance to talk to people, but not emphasize what they do in WordPress. Sort of like everything but WordPress. Where were you born? What do your parents like? All that, your life.
Yeah.
And, and I thought I just wanted to do it for sort of my own satisfaction and curiosity. And it turns out other people were interested in it too. It's very much still growing, and I hope it will always grow. But it's been in many ways a transformative thing to do in my life. I did not know how much I would love podcasting. I just thought, there's no way I would ever do anything. So I wasn't looking for the podcast. I think the podcast came looking for me. And, that's why I think it works, is because I wasn't looking to do this. And the whole idea, the music, everything was born in about 1 second, and I just executed on that thought. And wow, it's been, to think of all the great conversations I've had with people in the WordPress world, and the more conversations to come, and sharing those conversations with people, and giving people an opportunity to talk about their lives in ways that they normally don't get to do, and share that with the larger WordPress community and even beyond WordPress community. Woohoo. What an honor. That is what can I say? I'm glad to be doing what I'm doing. Very, so I save the best for the end. That is, in my life, the best part of my life is right now.
That's
not
awesome.
With you, but
Well,
not this very second, Yeah.
Come on. Come on. This is a pretty
before
good one,
after.
though.
All right. Okay.
Top 10?
Yeah, for sure.
That's very encouraging to hear. I love always hearing that perspective of, hey, the best in life is still to come, and there's a lot of things happening here. But I like to keep these things short, 15 minutes. Here we are, and it's time for me to wrap this up.
No.
I know. They go by so fast.
I know.
Can I have you back on? Can I get your guarantee that you'll come back on?
You don't want me back on. Isn't once enough already?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how this goes.
I'm there. Whatever you need, I'll do it.
Bud,
right.
If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Well, Bud, my website, seriouslybud.com, is a really good place to listen to past episodes. And there's like 52 episodes, and Roger's going to be there pretty soon. But you can send an email to either bud@seriouslybud.com or bud@joyofwp.com, or Slack, or, God, I'm everywhere. Facebook, I don't care, Twitter. You'll find
All right,
me.
people.
Joy
reach
of WP
out.
is the name of the business, yeah. Okay.
Excellent.
Thanks.
All right, Bud. Thank you for your time. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks.